Greetings, Michael.lafauci here from the Santa Clara Innovation and Executive Briefing Center in beautiful Santa Clara, California. I'm making a multiple series of SAP virtualized landscape videos. Today, I'm just going to start kind of at the high level, the business level, explaining how we would put SAP on a vBlock. As simple as that. I'm going to do two different segments after this. I'm going to actually, if you can believe this or not, I'm going to compare a vBlock to an iPad, and then I'm going to get on the whiteboard and just draw it out for you. The audience that I intend this presentation for is not the technical folks, not the infrastructure folks, because I'm not really going to get into the speeds and feeds. Though I can go into those speeds and feeds, but I'm not going to do it here. The easiest way for the SAP basis folks or the SAP functional folks or IT executives to understand a vBlock, in my experience, is to compare it to an iPad. And you may say what? vBlock? iPad? But ask yourself this question. Do you care what CPU runs an iPad? Do you care what memory is in the iPad? Do you care who manufactures the iPad? In fact, do you try to break out CPU, memory, who manufactures it? No. Why do you buy an iPad? I'll speak for myself, and I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody. I buy, or you'll buy an iPad because of the applications that run on it. It's the same thing with a vBlock. We don't want you thinking about the CPU, the memory, the storage, the connectivity. We want you thinking about the applications that run on a vBlock. Think of a vBlock as a black box. It's black right here, just like my iPad. This is best of breed technology. In fact, the irony of all this is I work for one of the world's biggest technology companies in the world. I don't want you thinking about the technology. In fact, the beauty of a vBlock is you don't have to think about the infrastructure behind your landscape. In fact, we're going to automate most of it. What we're going to do is take this vBlock and we're going to break it up into logical instances, so to speak. We're going to create virtual machines. We're going to create service profiles that define your SAP application servers. We're going to create storage templates. So throughout the whole IT stack, the compute, the connectivity, the storage, it's all going to be abstracted out into templates that we then save into an orchestration and provisioning tool. Remember I started talking about ITIL and IT service management? There's method to the madness. If you don't have the processes in the people who can create the service profiles of SAP Prod. Now go into SAP Prod and break it down. You have multiple applications. You're going to need different amounts of virtual CPU, virtual memory. Do you want 8 gigabit fiber channel, 1 gigabit Ethernet? There's different performance results. There's different price points. The same in storage. Do you want RAID 1? Sales rep's best friend. Or do you want SATA drives, flash drives? You get the point. What we're doing, again, we don't want you thinking about this. Think of a situation at quarter end where everybody's hammering the system. What I mean is we don't want you thinking about your SAP infrastructure. Everything will adjust. VMware has something called Distributed Resource Scheduler. If you have an application server that's being hammered, DRS will move it to another ESX host. The same thing with storage. On Asymmetrics, a little known fact, we have dynamic cache allocation. You can take a certain amount of global memory and allocate it to SAP for month end. You set a high water mark, a low water mark. When month end or quarter end is done, it goes back into the pool. My point is, black box, you don't think about it. Everything is automated. I just described the vBlock as an iPad. So to make it make more sense to you, what I'm going to do is draw it out on a whiteboard here and then fill in more detail. think of all of this. Think of this whiteboard as a vBlock, and I am going to carve it up logically. Obviously, you have SAP Prod, you have SAP QAS Test, and you have SAP Dev. I don't have space for Sandbox, but you get the idea. And then what I'm going to do within my vBlock is obviously I have the compute layer. You can take this a step further if you want in SAP speak the presentation layer or the end user's desktop. I have the network or the connectivity layer, and I have the storage layer. Again, this I want you to think of this as one thing. It's a holistic unit based upon service levels of the application. That's how we're going to carve it up. It's all going to be based upon SAP service levels. So I go back to Prod. Now I ask you the question. I don't know your business. Tell me, Mr. or Ms. Customer, which SAP applications in Prod are you running? Are you running BI? Are you running ECC? Are you running CRM? Are you running supply chain? Are you running XI? You get the idea. Now take that to QAS. Again, then take it to Dev. Now, I'm just going to put in here BI, SAP Prod BI. Now what we're going to give you are choices. Again, this is a black box that we are going to carve up into logical abstractions, into templates that we're going to put into an orchestration and provisioning tool. So I go back to here, Mr. and Ms. Customer, for SAP Prod, not Sandbox. What type of compute resources do you need for BI? Remember when you go into the virtual machines. In a vBlock, it's going to be vSphere 4.x on top of a Cisco UCS server, on top of either a vMax or our unified storage products. Okay? So I'm going to ask you, how much virtual memory? How much virtual CPU? Again, now I'm going down to the connectivity layer. Do you want to connect 8 gigabit fiber channel over Ethernet, 10 gigabit Ethernet, 1 gigabit Ethernet? You get the idea. Now I'm going back down to the storage. RAID 1 fiber channel, 320 gig drives. Or do you want 2 terabyte SATA drives? Or do you want enterprise flash drives? Again, you're going to get different performance, but these are different service levels. So at a high level, what I'm doing for SAP BI is I'm carving up this virtual infrastructure, and I'm going to call this BI Prod. Now, all the components that comprise the infrastructure of BI Prod are going to be saved as a file. Ask yourself, what's a virtual machine? It's encapsulated files. The Cisco service profile, what the brains behind the UCS. You create a service profile, you apply the service profile. They're going to be different for each SAP application, the same as storage. So I save it, and you just keep going and going and going. We've been explaining this here. In fact, I gave a talk at EMC World in Las Vegas in 2008 on this very topic. You have the compute layer, you have the connectivity layer, you have the storage layer. And what we're doing is logically dividing up the infrastructure. Again, go back to my iPad. It's a single platform for SAP. And what we're doing is now I'm logically breaking it up. This is all going to be based upon service levels. These go into, again, essentially this is a service catalog. I'm repeating myself on purpose. This service catalog goes into the orchestration and provisioning tool, which will soon have chargeback capabilities and a portal. Now, the next step in this is to tie it back into SAP. All of this, we have capabilities to tie into SAP ACC. So SAP ACC, it's now 7.2. When 7.3 comes out next year, at the same time I'm able to provision my virtual infrastructure on the fly, wouldn't it be nice if I can provision my dialog instances? This is how we roll out virtualized SAP infrastructure in minutes, literally minutes, with the API integration back into SAP. This is the operational expenditure savings. It's a library. When you need new infrastructure, you're just checking out a book. you hit the enter button. You apply security. You apply best practices. These are just saved in an infrastructure library. That's why I spend so much time talking about, do you use ITIL? Do you know what ITSM is? Because this is exactly what we're doing. That's it for today. Thank you.